Hey gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Corey and this is the 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee Trailhawk 4xe, the most off-road capable version of Jeep's legendary unibody SUV. And in this video, I'm going to show you what it's like off-road. Stay tuned. All right, gearheads, first things first, let's talk about what is under the hood of this 2023 Trailhawk 4xe. And I make that distinction 4xe because for the 2023 model year and up, that includes the 2024s, the only way to get the Trailhawk is to get the 4xe plug-in hybrid variant. For 2022, when this body style was released, you could get the 3.6 Pentastar V6, and you could also get the 5.7 Hemi. Those days are gone. Trailhawk is now exclusively a 4xe plug-in hybrid. Opening the hood here to reveal what motivates this thing, you get Jeep's 2.0 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, mated to an electric motor in between the engine and transmission. And this thing is really good for power. 375 horsepower, 470 pound-feet of torque from the total system. This 2-liter 4-cylinder does only make 270 horsepower on its own, with the electric motor adding 105, and only makes 295 pound-feet of torque with the electric motor adding 175. But because of its electric nature, it has instantaneous torque. So this thing is supposedly very capable, and being the second best-selling plug-in hybrid vehicle behind the Jeep Wrangler 4xe, you know there's some off-road benefits to this plug-in hybrid system. All of that is mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission using Jeep's Quadra-Trac 2 4x4 system powering all 4 wheels. There is a 2-speed transfer case, so you could do 4 high or 4 low, or kind of an automatic mode, but there's no way to put it in 2-wheel drive. It also uses Jeep's Quadra-Drive 2 with a rear electronic limited slip differential, and it uses Jeep's Quadra-Lift Air Suspension, which gives you up to 10.9 inches of total ground clearance, but I'm gonna have to close the hood to show you all about that. So as we talk about that Quadra-Lift Air Suspension, you can tell right now I am in its off-road 2 setting, which is its tallest setting, which really makes this thing interesting out on some obstacles here at beautiful Barnwell Mountain just outside of Gilmer, Texas. Huge thanks to them for letting us come out here and test all of our vehicles. If you're anywhere near Gilmer, Texas and have a capable off-road vehicle, I highly recommend coming out here. I'll put their links down in the description below. But why you would want the Trailhawk versus, say, the Overland? The Overland really is, as its name suggests, meant for getting you out to a remote campground, where the Trailhawk really is meant for, well, exploring trails. And we've got a lot of standard off-road equipment in this, like that Quadra-Lift Air Suspension, and like some serious underbody protection on this. We also have on our model a night vision camera up here in the front, which will allow you to get out to a campsite, get out to a remote location without having to blind everybody, and to be able to see rather clearly. Coming back around to the side, we can talk about the best-in-class off-road dimensions of this vehicle. Again, all of these numbers are going to be achieved in that off-road 2 ride height. And we'll get into more of why that's a little bit of a embellishment here after we get rolling. But the approach angle, 35.7, 30-degree departure angle, 22.3 breakover angle with that 10.9 inches of ground clearance. You can see up front here, the first thing that might touch is a fully plastic nose underneath the front of this, but everything back behind that is metal and will protect the vehicle. So I can show you right up here, starting right in front of the camera here, we've got some serious metal underbody protection that goes the entire length of the vehicle. This will be the best view down here. So we've got the fuel tank, we've got the transfer case, we've got the entire belly of this vehicle is completely covered with some rather thick underbody protection on this. So that is very nice. And just to prove it to you, yes, very solid underbody protection here on this Grand Cherokee Trailhawk 4xe. Coming back to the back, you can see just how big that airbag is back here for the independent rear suspension. Yes, that is not most ideal for off-roading, but the Grand Cherokee has always been a unibody four-wheel independent suspension. You can see the lowest point on this is actually the tailpipe on here coming from the catalytic converter going to the tailpipe or the muffler on this one. It's very interesting, but being as that is not a rigid fixed in place item, it can move around a little bit if you tap it, but it is tucked up kind of rather nicely around that diff and right in between the control arms for the independent rear suspension. So just an interesting look back here. There really is no other place to put it. Yet another thing that this gets that the Overland doesn't is that blue recovery hook back here on the back. So just a few things that really set this thing apart when it comes to the physical look here on the outside. One last differentiation between this and the Overland trim is this has a disconnectable sway bar, whereas that Overland doesn't. Coming around here to the wheels and tires, we get these very interesting looking 18-inch wheels. They are a metallic face with black pockets inset in them. They're wrapped in Goodyear Wrangler Territory AT tires. They are 265/60 R18s. These were brand new when we got them. They have slipped and kind of moved around a little here. I think that is more due to some of the suspension settings that we've been testing so far, but you'll see them in action here momentarily. They're a decent tire. I wouldn't write home about them at this point, but like I said, they were brand new when we got them. And I'm actually going to come around and show you here on this front wheel. All four wheels do get this blue Willys outline on them, just to show the heritage of the Jeep brand. That's enough on the outside. Let's show you a few things on the inside before setting off in this one. All right, gearheads, before we really take this one off-road, I want to show you some stuff inside that you would benefit from getting the Trailhawk. And I know floor mats can be added aftermarket, but Jeep does floor mats very well. You can see just how deep and how well-fitting these floor mats are. That's very nice, especially with all the red dirt out here. The Trailhawk models get this capri leather with the simulated suede inserts here and all the blue accents. I like the look of the black and blue. I can't say that I know exactly what capri leather is. We do get heat and ventilation on ours, which I really like that a whole lot. We'll go ahead and pop inside here, close the door, put our foot on the brake, and we'll start it up. So you can see here, we are actually in hybrid mode right now. I'm gonna actually do a lot of the wheeling in electric. I do like it in electric mode. I will say that. As a plug-in hybrid, I really like it. And that leads very well into this video's sponsor. Now would be a good time to talk about Lectron EV chargers. They are the sponsor of this video, and you can see are the way in which we keep our Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk 4xe plugged up, charged up, juiced up, and ready to go. If you want to know more about Lectron chargers and support our channel in the process, simply visit the link down in the description below. You do get 3 different drive modes here. Hybrid works like your traditional hybrid. The electric motor comes on at low speeds and powers you around in situations of preserving fuel. Electric is fuel electric until that battery is used up. ESave is a very, 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 very mild hybrid. I did notice it was still using some percentage, but traditionally that's using your 2-liter Turbo 4 only, with few exceptions. You get all your light controls over here, window and mirror controls, 2-person setting over here. You get a fairly nice gauge cluster here with a lot going on. Fully digital screen here, but you can pan through a lot of different things, including that night vision that I was talking about earlier with that small round camera up in the grill. It does take a little while to come on, but you can see just what it would be like navigating to a campsite at night if you needed it to. But you get all these different tiles here that you can click around and click into and get further information from once you go on them and click on them. So you can get a lot of stuff. This isn't my favorite layout. I wish you could get more of a traditional gauge screen, but it is what it is. Typical Jeep steering wheel, all your controls right here, all your cruise controls over here. We do get paddle shifters. This works for the 8-speed automatic transmission. It also works for the downhill descent control. You can set it by 1 mile per hour increments by tapping the paddles here. It'll actually tell you that while you're driving. Coming over to here, going to turn full regen on. So this being a plug-in hybrid vehicle, you can turn on max regeneration, which kind of does work like a 1-pedal mode. It'll be very interesting to see how that works for us as we're off-road, and see how that works for a 1-pedal mode. But you get your lane keep, your traction control, parking sensors, and your passenger screen button. We'll talk more about that on our family review later. Here we've got our Uconnect system, which is a nice system. It works fairly well. I have had to reset it a few times. You can see we do get some off-road pages here with pitch and roll. Select terrain, showing you which terrain you're in. Right now I am in auto, so that's what we get there. This really is just for animation's sake. I'm not quite sure why else you would want this, but you can see all the different drive modes you can go through. Rock, sand, mud, snow, auto, and sport are all the different drive modes that you can go into. Rock, you do have to be in 4 low to get to it, and it will put you in that ultimate off-road to ride height. We'll talk more about that again when we're actually moving. So very interesting screen here. Your suspension shows you what's going on, what ride height you're in, currently in off-road 2. That's just too much. And then you can have your forward-facing camera here on the display screen right in front of you. You do have a camera clean button, so you can wash it off if need be. What I really like about it is you can actually put that on the passenger screen as well, so that you can have your pitch and roll here. And if you had somebody riding shotgun with you with a spotter outside, you really do have eyes all the way around you. I do have a quick shortcut button here for the cameras. This is more for like a parking lot situation because it gives you your bird eye 360 and such. But I do have that in there. You can customize what buttons go up there. You just drag those things up top. But I'm going to go ahead and pop over to the passenger side because you can see nothing on the screen right now, but when I'm sitting over there, you can actually see on that screen. All right, so turning the passenger screen on, you do it from that button right there. Again, you get a lot of tiles over here, so you can do several different things. You can swipe through them. You can send navigation over to the main screen, but this is the off-road review, so I want to tell you about the off-road stuff and functionality of this. You can have your bird's eye 360, or you can do forward-facing camera. So again, if you've got a co-pilot over here, you can have the forward-facing camera on display here. You can go back to your surround view if you want, or forward or even rear-facing if you want. I do like the trajectory. Forward-facing gives you your tire projected path of your tires. I like that a lot. You can also clean the camera from here. You can't have it displayed here and here at the same time. So if I go over here to forward-facing camera, it pulls it away and it says camera feed used by the driver. I will say, you're probably noticing it just with me, there is a lot of glare on the screen. So while it is somewhat useful, it's just really hard to see. Wondering, let's see, yeah, full brightness, screen off, yeah. So you really are stuck with all the glare on the screen the way that it currently is. But it is nice to know that you have just a few extra eyeballs when you need it, when you're not using the camera feed from over there. So nice, useful tech right there. Again, all your off-road stuff is right here. You have downhill descent control, electronic disconnecting sway bar. You get 5 different ride heights, so off-road 2, off-road 1, normal, aero, which is where it goes when you're on the highway, and entry exit. So lots of variability here. And then again, your drive modes, you just toggle through them here with these right here. For low, you had to push and hold while in neutral. All around very easy, but that's enough of a tour of the stuff in here. Let's see how this thing actually performs. All right, gearheads, we're behind the wheel now. I've gone ahead and put it in electric mode because the instantaneous torque of the electric motor really is where I want to be. If you really push it in electric mode, 2-liter turbo 4 will chime in and come to life, but I really want to see what this is like in electric mode. We are currently in rock, which requires 4 low. The front sway bar is disconnected, and we are in off-road 1 ride height. All that level setting what we've got going forward here because we're about to go down our standard trail of Twister. And again, this is where I'll remind you, no lockers in this vehicle. We have an electronic limited slip rear diff. I'm actually going to change the view here from pitch and roll because you'll be able to see that on the back camera to my forward facing camera. The last vehicle we brought out here was a GMC Canyon AT4, and my biggest complaint was not being able to see over the table that is the hood. So here, this allows me to see my spotter, who is up front right there with handheld camera. He's got a tripod set next to him, so you can see exactly what this vehicle is going to be doing. I also have regen on, so again, more of that kind of one pedal driving, so we'll see exactly what this thing is capable of. As we move forward, I will call out the trajectory lines that I liked earlier, as I showed you on the passenger screen, are still here on this screen. We have not aired down, which may be a slight problem, but we'll see just how this thing performs as we go down Twister. Again, one of the great things about trails like this that actually get used, they aren't set up for events, is they get used. They change and wear and weather over time. And you can just see that this is not the same trail that we took in that GMC Canyon. But here we are, off-road 1 with the sway bar disconnected. This is the right size vehicle for this type of adventure. It's not too big. We can get down this small trail very nicely. It's very maneuverable out here on the trails. It's why I'm wearing my Team Jeep shirt today. This vehicle really did appeal to me. The last gen really appealed to me. I can't tell you how much I was shopping the 5.7 Hemi version of the last generation Grand Cherokee Trailhawk. My wife drives a Cherokee Trailhawk with that 3.2 V6, and the idea of a Grand Cherokee just appealed to both of us, her for the size and space inside, and me for its extra off-road ability. When they released this one for the 22 model year, I was very excited about it, especially because you could get the Hemi in that one. Again, you're exclusive to the 4xe system for the Trailhawk moving forward from 2023. So again, being in all electric mode with that max regen on, we'll see exactly what this thing is capable of on the second half of Twister. As we move forward, you might be able to see a little bit off to the right here. That is just insane. One of these days I'll be in a vehicle, it won't be stock, but I'll be in a vehicle that can attempt that. Here though, we're going to go up the left side and see what this thing is capable of. We've got this tree that has fallen over on us. We've got a lot of different terrain. We've got this rock that's kind of in the middle here, and there we go. But all the way around, off-road 1, 4 low, electric drive. Yeah. Oof, there's that underbody. There's that underbody protection. Again, the reason why you would want that off-road 2 is underbody protection and your breakover angles. So again, those numbers that I quoted to you earlier, yeah, that was an off-road 2. We're in off-road 1. I'm going to show you exactly here in just a minute why you don't want to do a lot of wheeling in off-road 2. Climb up over the rock here. Yeah, I mean, this is a fun vehicle when you know the right settings, when you can see everything around you. Make sure and take the right lines. I will say, I mentioned my spotter earlier. Come out with a spotter, go wheeling with a spotter. No amount of cameras in the vehicle, around the vehicle, on the vehicle can replace eyes outside the vehicle. This screen right here, you can't tell all the different terrain just from this camera view alone. You can tell from all the articulation. I've got the horizon lock on that camera back there in the back, just how much the vehicle is moving around. But cameras like this, they flatten it out. So again, having eyes outside the vehicle, knowing when you're going to drag a belly. I can't tell you if I'm going to drag my belly from this camera. Bring someone with you. I will say it is very interesting wheeling in this in electric mode. It's just quiet. I've got my window down. There are lots of two-stroke motors out here. Lots of stuff going on out here, but I'm just puttering around in complete silence. So it's a very interesting experience. But I did mention I was going to put in some off-road modes and show you what, well, let's go ahead and lift it to off-road 2 ride height. Vehicle is lifting up. That is actually what the adaptive suspension defaults to when you put it in rock mode. So that is what Jeep deems the best off-road mode. And I'm actually going to connect the sway bar up front just to show you the vast difference that this vehicle can do when you put all the right settings in. So again, a recap, we are in rock, which defaults to off-road 2, the ultimate ride height, which gives me better approach, departure, breakover angle, but completely obliterates wheel travel. And you're going to see that from the camera views outside. I've also connected the sway bar because, again, at off-road 2, my wheel travel really is limited by the fact that I'm at my tip-top ride height. Setting off. This is what I call scary mode. I've run this course in these settings once already today. And again, being in off-road 2 completely obliterates wheel travel. And this sway bar disconnect, again, if you have an overland trim, you don't even get a disconnectable sway bar. So we're gonna see exactly what this is like, why you would want the Trailhawk for its disconnectable sway bar. Why, if you plan on off-roading whatsoever, don't look at the overland. Woo! Look at the 4xe Trailhawk. Oh my goodness. I'm going to do my best to narrate exactly what's going on, but you can probably see from both inside cameras here and what Eric's got going outside just how much this vehicle is tipping and turning. It feels like there is no suspension under it whatsoever. We are like fully maxed out. There is no wheel travel. It's an experience in here that I don't think, even with horizon lock on, these cameras can truly capture just how much this thing is kind of bouncing around. I have stopped right now for him to reset and get in place because I will not take this trail without eyeballs outside. Again, talking to, oh yeah, you think you're capable because you can jack it up to 10.9 inches of ground clearance. That's not all it's cracked up to be, because in that setting, if you don't have all four wheels down, the 4x4 system in here uses the brakes to stop the spinning wheels, and it can only do so much, especially without lockers. And, oh, yeah, you can see here, Eric's telling me exactly what line I should take. It's still very nerve-wracking in this off-road. Oh, I'm gonna have to go. You can hear the brakes working. You can hear the brakes working to stop the spinning wheels. Teetering and tottering on opposing wheels. It's an adventure. Again, I'm doing this to show you in the overland trim, you still get this adjustable height suspension, but you don't get that sway bar disconnect. We're gonna do this run one more time with the sway bar disconnected and in off-road 1, which is where I would suggest going, even though rock mode defaults into off-road 2. Oh, y'all, this is, it's nerve-wracking. The vehicle is just, it's, the best way to describe it is a skateboard. Like, it feels like the wheels are being absolutely forced to their lowest setting, which they are by the airbags, and there's no give whatsoever. So we've made it through. Let's see what it's like now in off-road 1. So dropping it down, and we'll disconnect that front sway bar. It's going to be a completely different experience. Let's go line up. We'll take, as best I can, the exact same lines because I can see my tracks on the trail in front of me, and we'll see what it's like in off-road 1 with that sway bar disconnected. Again, it's going to be a completely different experience all the way around. And again, all my tracks are fairly visible right here in front of me. My front-facing camera really helps point me in the right direction. But yeah, I feel much more like I am walking over these the way off-road vehicles should, versus being kind of plucked on top of them. I don't know. This is a much more cohesive, much more pleasant experience. This is why you want the Trailhawk, not the overland trim, so you can get that disconnectable sway bar, because it was truly terrifying. And remember how I told you earlier, I wasn't going to do this section without Eric set in place? Yeah, it's definitely a whole lot less terrifying, less tippy here in off-road 1 with that sway bar disconnect. I'm not quite sure why Jeep has off-road 2 as the preset for rock mode. I know they want to give you the most ground clearance, but whew, it sure is scary. I'm not quite sure. I know they want to claim those best in-class off-road angles, approach, departure, ground clearance, breakover, all that good stuff. And that is achieved with that off-road 2 ride height. But I think outside of Camp Jeep, which are their staged indoor events at vehicle expositions and shows, aside from perfect conditions, I'm not really sure what off-road 2 is really for. I'm off the technical stuff and I've made it out to the main trail. I've actually put it in sand mud mode, which by default turns off your traction control and puts me into off-road 1. But again, at the speeds I'm going out here, I've dropped it down into normal, which again is compromising my approach, departure, breakover, ground clearance, all that stuff, but it makes the suspension so much more livable when you're out here at speeds. So I will say, from my experience and my experience alone out here with the presets between the different terrain modes and the Quadra-Lift Air Suspension, I will say they just seem to be a little bit more on the aggressive side than what I would do personally. from being out here in it. And that brings me to this vehicle again. Okay, so we showed you exactly what this thing is capable of when things get a little hairy. We showed you exactly why you would want the Trailhawk over an Overland or one of the other trims. If you plan on taking this thing off-road, the Trailhawk is absolutely the one to get. But the problem for me with that is you get a lesser interior. Yes, this starts at 65, but this exact one that we're in stickers for 73, which is absolutely Overland money. And some of the materials in here are just subpar and feel loose and not that great. So for me, knowing that I would have to travel an hour to get out here to wheel in this vehicle, is this the vehicle that I would want to own to bring out here occasionally and off-road? Or would I want maybe a different trim? I think that's where I'm at with this vehicle. I think it is a capable enough off-road vehicle. It can do enough for what the Grand Cherokee buyer wants of it. I know there's a cult following around these things where they are going to mod these up. I saw a second gen out here that has seen some heavy modification. I know the aftermarket is rampant for this vehicle, but for me, I just feel the Grand Cherokee platform is best as a luxury soft-roader, which I know is like painful. It hurts for me to say because Team Jeep, my wife drives the Cherokee Trailhawk. I wanted this vehicle to be better than it is. It's not bad. I like it. But at a $73,000 price tag for this 2023 model, that's a bit much. $65,000 starting price of this one, that's a bit much. This one, as it's spec'd, I could easily see 63. And then I could take off some stuff like the screen over there, which I'm not going to use. I can't see it from over here. I don't need it as the driver. It's a cool gimmick. It is an interesting family vehicle edition, but I don't need it. So I could say you could cut out some of the stuff in this and make this 60,000. I'd be interested. But the problem is with the Trailhawk and with it being exclusively a 4xe is you're paying for a lot that isn't always going to be used. So the Trailhawk, you're paying for all the off-road capability, the Quadra-Lift Air Suspension, the disconnectable sway bar, all the underbody protection in this one. And with the 4xe, you're essentially paying for a second propulsion system. So you're paying a lot of money for a vehicle that's just okay. And sadly, that's where I leave this review is, I mean, it's done everything that I've asked of it when I know the right combination of things to do, but overall, it's just okay. It's a very nice place to be in here. It is making these very rough, washed out trails rather smooth. There's hardly a creak or rattle in here. It feels mostly well built with a couple of exceptions. I just think for me, if I were going Grand Cherokee, the Trailhawk isn't enough to entice me to make it my off-roader. So for that, I would probably go Overland, Summit, or Summit Reserve. That's where I leave you with this one. If you want to see more from us here on the channel, be sure and hit that subscribe button down below and ring the bell because Holly will be hopping behind the wheel and telling you her thoughts as a daily driver of a Cherokee Trailhawk, what she thinks of this one. Tucker will be in the back seat. We'll put his car seat in. We'll do all those things. You can go find our second channel on YouTube, GT Premium Reviews, where Eric does a more cinematic approach to practically everything we did here, just in a more concise video. Definitely go check that out. Those are always fun to watch. You can find us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, everything at GT Garage Talk, or you can go to gtgaragetalk.com where you'll find links to everything. But as for me, somewhat disappointed behind the wheel of the Jeep Grand Cherokee Trailhawk 4xe. Until next time, gearheads. Bye. Ooh. Oof. Oof. Oh. Dropping it down. To the spots. So much better. So much better. There's wheel travel. Amazing. Got that regenerative braking. So this is showing max regen. I'm going downhill, 3 miles per hour, no hill descent control on. This is max regen, what it's capable of doing for you off-road, if you're interested. I don't know. This is